Part 80. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 797. Unit 0 has run out of energy. Everyone can see it. In the air, Oda Mai's knife that had not been drawn was finally not drawn out, and she landed lightly. Yilin also noticed it. He watched helplessly as Unit 0 carrying Molly, whirring, plop. Unit 0 dug a deep hole in the snow. Yilin stepped forward, squatted by the pit, and asked the big font Molly buried in the snow pit, "Are you okay?" You. Molly's weak voice came from Unit 0, as if someone had covered her mouth. When Yilin lifted Unit 0 out of the snow pit and lifted the mask, Molly's face turned green with anger. "You just watched me fall down like this." Yilin helplessly spread her hands. "Isn't this a way to test the shock absorber function of Unit 0? Look, you can still curse, it's pretty good. How do you feel now?" Molly was stunned and subconsciously replied, "It's just that my butt hurts a little." "Well, the shock absorbing and buffering function is perfect." "Really?" A long-awaited Shura field incident ended without any problem. I don't know why, but the members of Chigwa were slightly disappointed. Molly angrily dismantled Unit 0's armor piece by piece, feeling resentful that she didn't use her ultimate move. But Yilin is actually very satisfied with the result. It can be seen that Unit 0, which combines crystal pattern technology, has practical value. What still needs to be solved is energy consumption and cable arrangement optimization. Needless to say, energy consumption is just a matter of finding ways to reduce power and improve energy utilization. As for the optimization of cable arrangement, the weakness of Unit 0 is too obvious. The core is placed in front of the chest, which is blinding. Any enemy with any brains would probably hit him in the chest. Moreover, because it is a trial machine, most of the circuits of Unit 0 are on the surface of the body. Once the body surface is damaged, various functions of Unit 0 will be seriously affected. After he put forward these opinions, Molly wrote them down one by one, and she naturally saw the problem. Yilin spent 2 days making some fine-tuning and corrections to the crystal pattern circuits and nodes on Unit 0. By the way, I added a little bit of magic theory into it. The corrected circuit is square and round, so mysterious and complicated that just looking at those densely packed circuits makes one's head hurt. After the first generation trial model of Unit 0 was released, Molly proved with facts the possibility that ordinary people can also transform into mecha warriors. Many auxiliary talents in the guild began to study Molly. They were very interested and expressed their desire to order a finished product. When Molly relayed these requirements to Yilin, Yilin immediately sensed a business opportunity and directly offered an internal sales price of 200,000 DP per unit. For an additional 200,000 yuan, you can simultaneously purchase long-term services with lifetime warranty and regular updates. Later, Molly is said to have named the service Molly Care Plus. Molly always felt that something was wrong with Yilin's decision, but after thinking about it, she finally found nothing wrong. Later, even Li Kai became interested and planned to save money to order 20 sets at once and add a mobile armed fighter air patrol team to Hading City. It can be played and has cards. But to put it bluntly, Unit 0 is useless against serious combatants. Take Yilin for example, he can easily destroy a mobile suit squad by himself. But the strategic significance of this research is that as long as the number 0 machine is mass-produced, a group of logistics personnel with weak combat effectiveness can be equipped from scratch to the battlefield in a short period of time after simple training. This will form a terrifying fighting force. Yilin even put forward the hypothesis of whether large-scale remote control or unmanned control can be achieved. In this way, the self-destruction explosion ascension system that Yilin is good at can be installed on the 0 unit. Just thinking about it, Yilin couldn't help but feel a little excited. A vast swarm of number 0 machines snaked in the air and flew toward the battlefield. If they could survive, they would kill them, if they could not defeat them, they would self-destruct. This extreme tactic is as exciting as you want. After Molly became obsessed with research work again, Unit Zero's popularity in the Apocalypse Guild gradually subsided, and the time quietly came to December. Hating City has entered early winter. But the Apostle was in good health, so most people ignored the changes in temperature and still wore a small vest or suspenders carelessly as they walked through the city. From time to time, turbulent news comes from all over the world. Every time Li Kai reported these things, Yulin, who was stationed in the snow mountain, just responded lightly and told Li Kai to continue to be on alert. At the end of every call, Yulin's concluding remarks always left Li Kai puzzled. The time has not come yet, we are not in a hurry. So what if the time comes? Even Li Kai could faintly detect a trace of the calm before the storm in Yulin's calm tone, which made him so depressed that he couldn't sleep at night. Everything is going on in an orderly manner, and Yulin's daily life has become 3 points and 1 line: reading, eating, and sleeping. Finally. December 15th. Molly, who was fully devoted to her work, suddenly ran over in a hurry and delivered a huge good news to Yulin. Ling Yi has fully recovered. This is simply a miracle in the medical field. Oh, this is incredible. In her excitement, Molly accidentally exhaled in translation. At that time, Yulin was sitting on the beach, flanked by the taciturn black butlers Griffin and Cerberus. He slowly closed the advanced compilation of repair magic, breathed a long sigh of relief, and followed Molly to find Ling Yi. Ling Yi seemed to be a different person. Her eyes were piercing, and there was an agility all over her body that seemed to be out of this world, which was elusive and unattainable. Yulin and Ling Yi were 10 meters apart and looked at each other for a moment. Instead, Ling Yi smiled first and said, "Hello, Yulin." Yulin was silent, but soon he smiled, "Hello, Ling Yi." Molly stood aside, feeling for a moment that her existence was a little redundant. But she didn't know why, but there was a strange feeling in her heart. This is a woman's sixth sense. She vaguely noticed that Yulin was not as happy as she imagined that Ling Yi had completely regained her sight. She had imagined Yulin's reactions when she learned that Ling Yi's eyesight had returned. But right now, Yulin is incredibly calm. Why? Although Molly had a strange feeling, Yulin seemed to be very happy. That night, Yulin cooked the food herself, moved out the stored grain and frozen meat from the station, and held a sumptuous barbecue banquet. Yulin activated soul cooking technique and once again conquered their souls with delicious food. Time is limited. Since that night, Yulin never went to Ling Yi again. He did many things. Some are private matters, and some are the responsibility of the president. He handed a blueprint to Li Kai and ordered him to build Hating City into an unbreakable fortress. He pressed a letter under the table in Molly's studio, telling her to stay up less late, have a reasonable schedule, and drink more hot water when visiting relatives. He returned the artificial magic eye to Cerberus. He also found the right opportunity to imprint the Honkai magic on Griffin's back. He needed many soul dishes and filled Wang Tiandi's bag, hoping that Shuer would not be hungry during his absence. He took the time to visit Hating City again, and once again offered his blessings to the newlywed couple Li Erpang, wishing them to have a son soon. It seemed that he had sent this blessing to the couple a long time ago. At last. On December 31st, Yulin finished her chores and found Emo Rendi in the maple forest. Emo Rendi was meditating in the maple forest. There was a coffee table in front of him, with 2 cups on it and a pot of warm wine. Old Emo. Hey, you came just in time. Let me have a drink with you. Yulin squinted her eyes flickering, and then she didn't say much and sat down in front of Emo Rendi. The two of them drank 3 cups each. Emo Rendi usually doesn't drink alcohol, and Yulin doesn't have this habit either. But these 3 glasses of wine today made Yulin feel particularly ritualistic. After 3 glasses of wine, Yilin felt warm, so he took out something and placed it on the coffee table. This thing can completely change your human bloodline. After thinking about it, I couldn't think of any other suitable person, and finally I thought of you. After Yilin materialized the giant potion, he gently placed it on the coffee table. Then he stood up and turned towards Fenglin. This is a syringe. It is very simple to use. As for whether you use it or not, it's up to you. Amorendi remained silent. He squinted his eyes and stared at Yilin's thin back retreating under the fallen leaves. He raised his wine glass high and drank the wine in one gulp. Have a nice trip, old friend. The wind whistles. A gust of wind blew by. Yellow leaves roll up all over the sky. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 798. Yilin returned to the snow-top secret room in the center of the 4 divisions. Here, it's quiet as usual. Yilin packed her bag and picked up some useful props. All unused garbage was thrown into the guild warehouse. After doing all this, Yilin sat in the cold and desolate secret room, feeling confused. It's been a long time. Yilin suddenly chuckled and said to herself, I can trust you, right, 11ER. There was no answer in the cold air. Yilin took a deep breath. His eyes opened and closed, returning to calmness again. Yilin entered the module space that she had not seen for a long time. In a world of nothingness, he floats in the air. In front of me is the module skill tree that flickers on and off. During this time, Yilin teamed up with Otamai to enter the trial, and Yilin gained a lot of chaos points. Including what was accumulated before, there are now more than 300,000. More than 300,000 may sound like a lot, but it actually doesn't amount to more than a few clicks. Yilin scaled the module to the size of a palm and hung it in front of her eyes. After thinking for a moment, Yilin raised her finger a little higher to upgrade the skill. With a click of her finger, Yilin's ears seemed to hear the sound of rushing water. First, he spent a mere 160,000 chaos points to upgrade his trump card skill Bloodthirsty Disaster from 4 stars to max. Bloodthirsty Disaster. Grade max. Consumption 50% HP. Restrictions: you must say loudly it's not me, it's the world that's wrong, before you can activate the skill. Effect: every time a life is killed, you can choose to absorb 50% of the total attributes of the deceased's strength, agility, and spirit, and condense it into 1 layer of blood will. A total of 5 layers of blood will can be accumulated. After using the skill, all blood will can be consumed to generate self-assigned temporary attribute values. Duration 300 seconds. Cooling time 48 hours. Note: apostles will fall into a weak state during the skill cooling period. Explanation: death is like the wind, accompanying me. If you are not careful, you may die before killing someone. The improvement effect is still very obvious. The attribute value absorbed by each layer of blood reaches 50%. After 5 layers are superimposed, the 3 main attributes are directly exploded. There are no blind spots in all directions. Yilin is anxious for the enemy just thinking about it. Fear. What surprised Yilin the most was that the duration jumped from 240 seconds for 4 stars to 300 seconds in one step. 5 minutes is enough. There are so many things that can be done in 5 minutes. After upgrading Bloodthirsty Disaster, Yilin still had 180,000 chaos points left on hand. At first glance, there are so many skill balls, and it seems that there are many choices, but in fact Yilin has no choice. The next upgrade of Summoned Mount, Dire, requires 200,000, Grasp of Annihilation is already 4 stars, and the last level requires an exaggerated 320,000, can't afford it. Yilin had no choice but to arrange shadow killing, which she had not paid much attention to recently. Shadow kill has been upgraded from 2 stars to 3 stars. The ball is bigger, whiter, rounder, and brighter. Like a white peach hanging on the tree, it is mouth-watering. Shadow kill. Grade 3 stars. Consumption. Each time you enter the shadow state, it consumes 60 spiritual energy points. Maintaining the shadow state consumes 2 psychic points/second. Effect. After the skill is activated, you can enter the shadow state. In the shadow state, the movement speed is increased by 100%. When the shadow state is released, the shadow breaking blow can be launched. The shadow breaking blow has penetration, damage, and bloody effects. Explanation. No one knows tailing better than you, and no one knows assassination better than you. The Lord of Shadows will be with you. After the upgrade of Shadow Kill, the skill consumption is almost negligible. Paired with Like a Shadow, it's perfect. In addition to the skill consumption, the upgraded skill effects made Yilin's eyes light up. Oh my god, the 160,000 spent is worth it. In the shadow state, Yilin's movement speed increases from 50% to 100%, which is a qualitative leap. The shadow breaking blow also has a bloody effect. I don't know how it performs specifically, but it sounds quite brutal. After the upgrade was completed, it was useless to stay in the module space, so Yilin launched her special mental state and returned to the secret room. At this point, Yilin felt stronger and more at ease. After returning from the Age of Gods, Yilin and Myota entered 3 trials as a team and received corresponding strengthening. Apostle Panel. Yilin thought silently in her heart. Yilin, ID, 1010. Title Shadow Warlock, Epic Level. Health 100%. Psychic Energy Value 3260/3260. Module Apocalypse Knight, Damaged. Essence Unknown Hybrid, 30.5% Unknown Ancestry, 69.5% Carbon-based Homo sapiens. Level LV45, 5th level Apostle. Strength 5.3. Agility 7.0. Spirit 16.3. Will 10.0. Lucky 1.4. Charm 0.8. Skills follow Like a Shadow, Max, Disaster Ridden and Unbanned, Max, Bloodthirsty Disaster, Max, Summon the Mount Night Dire, 2 stars, Grip of Annihilation and Unbanned, 4 stars, Shadow Kill, 3 stars, Banishment, Title Skill, Cloud Body Wind Body Technique, Disabled, Wind Body. Enhanced Killing Technique, A level, Onmyoji, B end level, Echo of Doom, S end level, Crystal Pattern Technique, S level, Analytical Vision, SS level, Mind Body, SS level, Soul Cooking Technique, S. Yilin also said in the lecture that the panel is only a means to assist understanding. The essence of the Apostles' evolution still lies in the people themselves. However, the intuitive and clear data on the panel allows each Apostle to understand his or her progress more intuitively. Yilin felt like she had become a polygonal warrior. It's just that this polygon is a little flawed. Psychopathy is developing, agility and strength are steadily increasing, willpower is full, luck and charm are decreasing very steadily. It's gratifying. Call. Yilin prepared everything, and Nai Hongxiu, Bai Xiaoi, and Gaiakomime took the initiative to appear behind Yilin. They saw what Yilin had done during this period and secretly felt sad. Although they didn't know what Yilin wanted to do, they realized that Yilin was preparing to go to a very dangerous place. Aren't you going to say goodbye? Nai Hongxiu asked. Yilin shook his head, not answering the question, but seemed to answer the question, I will be back. This sentence made the 3 of them look at each other. You said you would come back, but what you did made it difficult for you to live or die. What do you mean? Yilin didn't explain much. In the new interface, she chose the door trial. A door that only he could see appeared in front of Yilin out of thin air. Yes, in the previous door trials, there were 5 doors to choose from, but this time, the door trial opened by Yilin only had one door left. This door is hazy gray and translucent. There are no signs or symbols on the door. It is half covered, as if inviting you to enter the urn. As Yilin's eyes moved, the keywords of this door were also revealed. Yilin did not hesitate, added money, and used all 5 keywords. The only door, difficulty, unknown keywords, abyss of sinking keywords, reincarnation keywords, Empress Kija keywords, the only way keywords, the time has come. Looking at the 5 weird keywords, Yilin couldn't help but laugh. This is no longer a hint, but an explicit statement, right? Yilin looked at the last 2 keywords, and the word Xiao 11 raised her index finger and muttered in her mind again, there is only one way, the only way to make this world go to the second ending. They come, the security. The 3 mother spirits turned into light and disappeared. Yilin sighed softly and prepared to step into the only door. Stop! Yilin. At this moment, a cold and angry shout came from outside the secret room. Oda Mai held 2 swords in her hands and attacked fiercely. She held 2 swords in her hands, the bloodthirsty demon sword was stained with blood, and the ominous demon sword opened its eyes. The black sword light shattered the light curtain Yilin deliberately set up in one encounter. Ding! The magic sword Sakura Mai Ikemonji came out of Oda Mai's hand, passed across Yilin's cheek, and was inserted into the ice wall in front of her. Yilin looked back and found that Oda Mai had actually used her ultimate move. The spirit of the defeated warrior behind her turned into armor and covered her body. She was so angry for only 2 reasons. She knew that Yilin wanted to leave her and go out on her own again. Oda Mai was obviously angry. But while she was angry, Oda Mai was in a state of panic. She knew something was wrong with Yilin during this time. With her brain, she couldn't analyze the hidden meaning in Yilin's actions. But her intuition told her that something was wrong, very wrong. Until she followed Yilin and watched Yilin return here after having 3 drinks with Mo Ren in the maple forest. No, no, no. Everything is wrong. Looking at Yilin's back, Oda Mai always felt empty in her heart. A woman's 6th sense told her that she was about to lose something important. Something is going on. Oda Mai's face showed a rare expression of pleading like a little woman, and 2 lines of tears fell. You will wait for me to go in together, right? Sorry. Yilin smiled slightly, ran faster, and disappeared behind the door in the blink of an eye. He knew Oda Mai's character very well, so he ran away silently. Oda Mai could even do it, she would rather cut off his hands and feet than leave him here. On the spot, only a dazed and weeping Xiao Wu was left, as well as the knife that fell at her feet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 799. The way to enter the trial this time was different from usual. Big difference. In the endless gray light, Yilin drifted with the current. He felt that his body was very light, floating involuntarily with the light. Ahead, there was a hazy light and shadow that couldn't be clearly seen. Yilin left, leaving in a cool and unrestrained way, and going in an open manner. Yes. The time Xiao 11 mentioned is right now, right here. One day, he had to set foot on the road arranged by Xiao 11 and come here. He will go to an unknown and dangerous place. Yilin didn't know what Xiao 11 had planned for him in the next world. But what Yilin knew was that this might be the only way to see the dawn in despair. Sometimes, Yilin can't even tell whether the past determines the future or the future determines the past. Zzz. In the streamer. There was a noisy sound in Yilin's ears, his vision gradually became blurred, and his consciousness began to dissipate. I drifted here for an unknown amount of time. Finally. In front of Yilin's eyes, light appeared again. Yilin's consciousness returned to consciousness, and he began to look at the surrounding space. There is nothing in this gray space. This feeling, huh? It sounds a bit like the white space when he first came to the world of Auranos. If a guiding elf appeared in front of him next, that would be truly amazing. In the gray world, there are strange clouds lingering in the depths, like the first opening of Menhong, mysterious and unpredictable. After looking around, Yilin finally remembered to see what state he was in now. Seeing this, Yilin's whole body went numb. Wait, the above sentence is slightly inappropriate in description. To be precise, Yilin's entire egg was numb. The current situation can be summed up in one sentence: start with an egg. He is the egg. Am I stupid? Yilin wanted to move her hands and feet, but she couldn't. If I move anywhere else, I can't move it. He became an egg floating in this space, unable to move. Why did Xia arrange such a strange start for me? Yilin really wanted to summon the god 11Er at this moment, and then pinched her chubby face and questioned her, why Mao always cheated her. This habit of yours is unacceptable, Xia. Moving here, moving there, Yilin tried for a while, but after finding that nothing could change the current situation, Yilin simply gave up, and an Xian lay down like an egg. In fact, Yilin even wanted to close her eyes and sleep. But an egg has no eyes, and it can't even do a simple action like closing its eyes, which is quite speechless. I don't know how long it took. The scene in the distance finally changed. 3 cyan dye slowly floated towards the egg entrenched in Menghong's world. When Yilin saw that there was something going on, she immediately became energetic. Sure enough, the 3 dice were prepared for him. They were floating in the air. Yilin remained unchanged in response to all changes. The 3 dice hung above his head, motionless. After a long egg-laying period, a turning point is coming. This is between reincarnations. But there is no reincarnation in this world, except for you. Remember, it was you who made me choose you in the end. I know you have many questions in your heart, but believe me, one day, you and I will both understand the meaning of what you are standing here at this moment. You have gone through everything and finally arrived here at a certain time and moment. This place is not connected to the paradise, it is a place outside the law, therefore, this place became the glimmer of hope. Xiao 11's voice came to Yilin's ears. I don't have much time in a hurry, I left this recording for you, but I know that this recording will soon sizzle. Xioxi's voice is the feminine and moving voice of young wife Nozomi that Yilin heard in the Age of Gods, not the cute voice of young wife Nozomi who still lives in modern times and plays riddles all day long. The plot prompt this time is a bit special. It was not conveyed to Yilin in words, but in this way. In the second half of the recording, there was only harsh noise, and Yilin could no longer get any more intelligence or information. Yilin couldn't laugh or cry about this, and was helpless. I know you are in a hurry, but please explain yourself clearly. You talked for a long time, but you got to the point. After half a ring, even the sizzling noise was gone. Everything is quiet. Yilin, the egg, does not sigh on her lips, but sighs in her heart. Unexpectedly, the restrictions on Xiao 11 were more cruel than imagined. It seems that I can only rely on myself next. Before Yilin stepped into the only door, she was mentally prepared for the severe situation on the road ahead. But at least the first half of the recording made Yilin understand one thing. For some reason, 11 finally chose herself. At a certain time, at a certain moment, I came here. But what's so special here? This world is not connected to paradise. While Yilin was thinking, one of the 3 cyan dice floating above the Yilin egg lit up with a faint light and fell towards Yilin. There was movement outside the egg, interrupting Yilin's contemplation and making him come back to his senses. Don't think too much first, let's see what cheats Xioxi has arranged for herself. Isn't this obvious that the plug-in has arrived? Yulin glared at the falling dice. The dice is not an ordinary six-sided structure, but has countless sides. It is impossible to count how many sides this dice has at a glance. On each die surface, there seems to be writing as small as mosquitoes. But now Yulin started with an egg and could not see the content of the text clearly. But he always felt that the dice or something did not suit him and was not a good thing. Okay, shake it first and then talk. Dice, aren't dices just for rolling? Really? When the most serious thought of rolling a dice began to appear in Yulin's mind, the falling dice, as Yulin expected, began to spin crazily. While the dice was spinning, many light balls of different colors appeared above Meng Meng. By the way, in the between reincarnations that Yulin is in at the moment, it is actually impossible to distinguish between up, down, and left, but Yulin feels that it is up, so let's go up. Let's talk about the light ball again. During the reincarnation, balls of light of various colors appeared, dotting the gray mist. Yulin could no longer count the number of light balls, but he could roughly calculate the proportion of light balls of different colors from the flashes of light. The number of light balls, from most to least, is divided into 6 colors: white, green, blue, purple, orange, and red. Among them, white light balls accounted for more than 80%, a vast area. And the smallest number of red light balls, like blood and fire, are dotted among them, and there are only a few. Yulin easily came to the conclusion without reasoning, the quantity probably represented the rarity. But what is this shaking? Equipment? Or a prop? Yulin was a little puzzled, so after shaking it, she continued to wait and see. The dice are still rolling. Suddenly, a white ball of light was filtered out and integrated into the egg. Egg. Xiao 11's hateful young woman's voice sounded in Yulin's ears. Get civilian, white, talent, carpenter family. Attack -1, comprehension add 20. Yulin's egg trembled violently for several times, as if calling out "Wo Cao." But Yulin couldn't stop this process. As the dice continued to spin, the next ball of light hit the egg again. This time it was better, it was actually blue. If Yulin had tear ducts, he would feel so excited that he would cry. Get the talent, blue, talent, versatility. Alchemy, weapon refining, manufacturing, painting, calligraphy and other crafts, talent add 20. Yo! This ball works. Before Yulin had time to digest the joy of getting the ball of light, the next ball came again. This time it was a blue ball of light. Acquire the talent, blue, talent, the legacy of the ancients. Your family has an ancient and incomplete secret book passed down from your family, which is gratifying. The fourth ball of light turned out to be an even rarer purple color. Now Yulin figured out the pattern. If Xiao 11 had not arranged the result of this talent shake in advance, then there is a certain pattern. At the very least, it won't get lower and lower. That's good, that's good. Otherwise, with Yulin's damn luck, it's not impossible to get all the white talents. Congratulations. Obtain the saint, purple, talent, extremely smart. Intelligence add 50, charm -300. Yulin was wondering what the use of this understanding was. The measurement of data here seems to be different from previous standards. According to Yulin's usual data, if you lose 300 points of charm, you can be hunted down just walking on the road, so why live? But since it is a purple talent, it seems like it should be a good thing. As for the lost charm points, Yulin is used to it, so it's not a big problem. At this point, the rotation speed of the dice begins to slow down. After shaking for a long time, the fifth ball arrived belatedly. It turned out to be the rarest red ball of light. Congratulations, you have obtained the God-given, red, talent, heavenly jealousy wizard. Comprehension add 200, 5 elements spiritual root qualification -30, cultivation speed -30, life limit -30, Health -30. The egg began to struggle. It doesn't seem to want to. But the red ball was forced into the egg. Eventually, the two become one. After shaking the last red ball of light, the die seemed to have finally completed its mission, turning into dots of light and dissipating in the depths of Menghong. A bit of white light appeared in front of Yi Lin's field of vision, and he was sucked towards the white light by an irresistible suction force. He tried to turn back, but he had no head. But he knew that in the between reincarnations, there were still two dice that had not been used. White light flooded Yi Lin's vision. I do not know how long it has been. A baby was born and struggled to open its eyes that were covered with amniotic fluid and blood. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 800. In this world, there are monsters, Tao, demons, Buddhas, courts, wars, and disputes. The world is divided into 4 continents, namely Dongsheng Shenzhou, Zini Yuhezhu, Beijuluzhu, and Nanzanbuzhu. Beyond the 4 continents, there is the vast endless sea. It is said that there are countless fairy mountains and islands overseas. However, over the years, people who have gone to sea to search for fairy traces and relics have left one after another, but no one has returned. Dongsheng Shenzhou. Daqian Dynasty. In the first year of Jishan, the late emperor passed away and the young emperor ascended the throne. The emperor was named Jishan, and the empress dowager assisted the government behind the curtain. The dynasty is divided into 36 provinces, and the princes in each province have different intentions and are in a state of separatist rule. Thieves and bandits occupy the mountains and become kings. Wild monsters and human demons run rampant. The world is in chaos. And now it is the 12th year of the Jisheng calendar. Daqian Dynasty, South, Jinping Province, at the foot of Qingyu Mountain, Qingyu Village. This is a small village that has made a living by inheriting crafts from generation to generation. In Qingyu Village, the wooden fence covers an area of 10 miles, so it is also called Qingyu 10-mile AO. Today, in the village, children were playing barefoot, while hungry and thin old horses were sleeping. In the center of the village, there was an old man in his 70s, surrounded by a group of children, telling stories. The 70-year-old man is the oldest person in the village, has lived the longest, and has the most knowledge. Legend has it that the old man has seen demons, wars, and high-ranking officials. Therefore, the children in the village, when they have nothing to do, like to pester the grandfather to tell absurd legends outside the village. Grandpa, are there any immortals outside the village? What children like to listen to the most is the magnificent and strange tales of immortals and demons. Grandpa was sitting on a simple wicker chair, shaking his cattail leaf fan. He smiled and shook his head with a somewhat unclean demeanor. Hey, in the whole world, except for the Kiju Empress who stepped through the void and ascended 5,000 years ago, who dares to call herself an immortal? When the children heard this, they quickly asked who the Kiju Empress was. As the saying goes, the older you live, the more you know. When my grandfather traveled around the world, he was also a graceful and beautiful prodigal. Surrounded by children at this moment, he did not hide it, but casually told the stories spread in the world. Legend has it that 5,000 years ago, the Kiju Empress emerged from nowhere and was invincible in the world. Grandpa, who is the Empress Kiju? Oh, little guy, you don't know something. The Empress Kiju is a stunningly talented person. Legend has it that her face is as beautiful as a flower, her features are as exquisite as jade, and her figure is as delicate as smoke. But every time she appears, she is shrouded in the terrifying glow. No one can know the true appearance of the Kiju Empress. There are even legends that there was a man who was equally astonishing and talented. In order to get a glimpse of the true appearance of the Kiju Empress, he used various methods and magical powers to finally break the protective glow of the Kiju Empress. What do you think happened in the end? In order to gain a sense of presence, the old man even used the trick of selling things off. Sure enough, the children's curiosity was instantly aroused. With their shining eyes, they shook the grandfather's thigh and asked him to come quickly. The old man shook his head, raised the corners of his mouth, and slowly said two words, "Dead." The children were shocked. The Empress Chiju is dead. Bah! What are you melons thinking in your heads? The one who dares to offend the Empress must die. Why did you die? Hey, you don't know something. Legend has it that the Chiju Empress is so beautiful that men die from anger the moment they see her true appearance. Wow! The children were so naive that they covered their eyes in fear. It was as if he could imagine the beautiful face of the Chiju Empress, and with this gesture, he expressed that he did not dare to look at her anymore. The grandfather was very satisfied with the children's praise. He ended the short story with one sentence: from then on, no one saw the true face of the Empress. Until the Empress Chiju stepped through the void and ascended to the upper world, her beauty became an ancient legend. At this time, a discordant questioning voice came from not far away. Uncle Niu, there is a doubt in your story, which doesn't make sense logically. A young man with pale skin and ordinary appearance sat on a big stone by the roadside in the village at some point, pointing his finger and laughing. Since no one has seen the true appearance of the Chiju Empress, how come anyone knows that the Chiju Empress is as beautiful as a flower, as exquisite as jade, and as delicate as smoke? The old man stared at his cloudy eyes and was speechless for a moment. Although he didn't know if logic could be eaten, he didn't know how to formulate a strong statement to refute the second half of the boy's sentence. Besides, these adjectives are too exaggerated. You can tell at a glance that they are imaginary words that add fuel to the fire. Maybe the legendary Empress Chiju was ugly and did not dare to meet people with her true face. What woman doesn't like her beauty? Where are people watching? When the old man heard this, he became even more angry. I saw him raising a finger, his face flushed with anger, his fingers trembling, he felt dizzy, palpitating, chest tightness, his lips trembled for a long time, and he couldn't say a single word. But the old man didn't respond. When the children saw the white-faced boy sitting on the big rock talking and laughing, they reacted greatly. It's a freak from the Lin family. It's that freak. Mom told me not to play with freaks. My father said, never get close to the Lin family's freaks. My aunt said that freaks who come near the Lin family will get sick. My second uncle said that the freaks who come into contact with the Lin family will have bugs on their bodies. Phew. In an instant, the children rolled around and scattered like birds and beasts. There was even one person who was so frightened by the various legends about freaks that he fell down halfway and his face was covered with mud. He peed all over his pants and lay on the ground crying. After seeing the children disperse, the old man finally regained his breath. He looked helplessly at the white-faced boy on the stone and sighed, "You weird boy from the Lin family, what are you doing here today?" The Lin family boy grinned, "Don't get excited, I came here today to ask a question." The Lin family in Qingyu village has passed down the carpentry craftsmanship for a living from generation to generation. The craftsmen of this generation of the Lin family were struggling to have children, so they traveled every month to the Golden Temple, 30 miles away from Qingyu village, to worship Buddha and ask for a child. Finally, they succeeded. When Ms. Lin gave birth to her son, she was already 40 years old. Her appearance was weak and her body was weak. Her milk sac was shy and her milk was scarce. It is said that at that time Carpenter Lin spent a lot of money to go to the county town 15 miles away and hired a young nurse to nurse the baby. But something strange is coming. This child of the Lin family has been doing strange things ever since he was born. On the day of birth, the midwife saw the baby standing upright and motionless. She thought the baby had died and was so frightened that she slapped the soles of the baby's feet to death. But at the end of the filming, the baby suddenly raised his head and stared, with a clear emotion called angry in his eyes. The midwife had seen such strange things and felt that something was fishy, giving her nightmares every night. So after delivering Carpenter Lin's baby, she washed her hands in a golden basin, decided not to be contaminated with meat and fish, and retired from the world. The old Carpenter Lin couldn't care less about the difficulty. Let's just blame him. He survived after all, right? But something even stranger is yet to come. Not to mention that the Lin family's baby had a strange birthmark on his tender body when he was born. After the baby was born, when Carpenter Lin was thinking hard about the baby's name, the infant once again stared with his eyes wide open and held up his index finger, as if he meant something. In the end, Carpenter Lin also believed in the evil and felt that the child was unusual, so he named the child Lin Yi. When Lin Yi was 1 month old, he refused to sip the milk from his nanny. This made Lin and his wife white-headed with worry. In the end, they had no choice. They were afraid that Lin Yi would starve to death due to a hunger strike, so they could only eat porridge and rice cereal. Lin Yi worked hard to raise him. When Lin was half a year old, he could walk freely in a pocket cloth. At that time, Carpenter Lin thought that the Lin family had a genius. Hey, isn't genius just weird in everything? So Lin Carpenter didn't take the strange things that happened when Lin Yi was born into his mind. He even threw a big banquet in the village just because Lin Yi walked on the ground for the first time, which was very arrogant. But then Carpenter Lin's life became difficult. Lin Yi never spoke or cried. He was always alone, sitting by the door, looking up at the bright moon, scratching something on the ground with his fingers. A 70-year-old man in the village likes to tell stories in the village. When Lin Yi was 1 year old, he often sat aside and listened quietly to the talk of his 70-year-old man. At first, everyone didn't think it was anything, but someone accidentally discovered that Lin Yi was only 1 year old, but when he was listening to stories, he actually showed a pensive expression like an adult. This frightened many people. He was possessed by a demon and could not penetrate any more. The matter reached Carpenter Lin's house. Carpenter Lin was eager to protect his son, so he blasted all these demonic remarks out of the door and cursed them angrily. Over time, Lao Lin gained the reputation of Crazy Lin in the village. When Lin Yi was 6 years old, Lin Yi remained silent. Over the years, Mrs. Lin's carpenter's hair turned gray due to worry. She thought that Lin Yi was born mute, so she went to the county all day long, looking for famous doctors to treat Lin Yi's illness. But Qingyu Mountain is 100 miles away, and he has searched for all the doctors who can hang up plagues and pull banners to visit doctors. These doctors either shook their heads secretly and said that it couldn't be cured, or they were frightened by Lin Yi's weird behavior and said that I am a quack doctor, I was wrong, and I would never dare to pretend to be a doctor again, and so on. These medical experiences lasted until Lin was 7 years old. Lin Carpenter had despaired that an ordinary doctor could cure Lin Yi. He worked hard to raise a lot of money and prepared to go to the Golden Temple to invite Buddhist masters to come out. But that day, just as Lin Carpenter packed his bags and prepared to make the 30-mile journey to the Golden Temple to invite an expert, Lin Yi walked out of the house, with a look of helplessness on his young face. "Dad, I'm not mute, don't bother me." And now, Lin Yi is 12 years old, unmarried, and single. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xueshi. Chapter 801. Time is an illusory existence. But everyone can clearly feel the scars left by the erosion of time. Yi Lin once again experienced the process of rebirth. This time, the rebirth was more complete. In other people's games, you start with an egg, which hatches various mythical beasts. He also started with an egg, but he hatched himself. He didn't know what it was like to be reborn as a child, pretend to be young and cool, and live a carefree life in those classical online novels. Yi Lin only felt uncomfortable. The dignified president of Tiankai Guild was stuffed into a baby and tossed around all day long, living a humble and helpless life. Physical development limits Yi Lin's strength. When Yi Lin finally reached 1 year old, he forced himself to use his immature telekinesis to float up and pretend that he could walk. 12 years, who knows how he got here these 12 years. After he came to this world, there was no main mission or any clues. He tried every means to find ways to further explore the world within a limited circle. But Zioxy left too little information, and he knew nothing about the world. Gradually, starting from the 6th year, Yilin's memory of the real world became increasingly blurred. He is adapting, he is growing, and he is gradually integrating into the world. He gradually became Lin Yi. Time is a terrible force. Yilin feels emotional every time she thinks about things in the real world. When he rolled the dice during reincarnation, he had a hunch that he might stay here for a relatively long time. But Yilin didn't expect that she would grow so much. He stayed in this village for 12 years. Yilin lost the memory of her parents in the real world. But what makes Yilin feel ironic is that the first time he clearly experienced father's love and mother's love was here, in Qingyu village, at Lin Carpenter's house. When he was 7 years old, he finally accepted this subtle emotion and called out Dad to the old carpenter Lin for the first time. The carpenter couple had a son in old age and cherished Lin Yi very much. No matter how people in the village viewed Lin Yi, whether they thought Lin Yi was sick or a freak, the old carpenter regarded Lin Yi as a treasure and doted on him. One of them impressed Yilin the most. That was when he was 5 years old. He was sitting on the threshold of the Lin family, seemingly in a daze, but in fact he was deducing the methods of magic, crystal patterns, and magic fusion. Some children were naughty and threw stones at Yilin. It's impossible for Yilin to care about children, right? He stood up silently and prepared to change places. But old Lin got angry. He held up a big hammer for hammering nails, stood in front of Lin Yi and cursed, "Whose little brat dares to come to my doorstep to run wild? Let your parents come, I have to let you go." They saw blood. At that moment, Yilin looked at the old carpenter's stooped back and felt something strange in her heart. Maybe, this is the back of my father. As for Lin Yi's mother, who is over 50 years old, she already looks like an old man in her 60s, with white hair and a sallow complexion. In times of war and chaos, hunger was the norm. But the old mother could always get some warm steamed buns and some dried bacon to give Yilin extra meals. Every time Lin's mother stuffed steamed buns and bacon rice into Yilin's mouth, she always said that her mother was full, so good boy, eat more, and she couldn't let her finish it all by herself. Every time Yilin actually wanted to say that the sound in their stomachs was very loud, and their lying skills were too poor. But Yilin looked at Mother Lin's calloused hands. In the end, those words were not spoken, and she just swallowed the food silently. Day after day, year after year. Spring passes and winter comes, time flies. Yilin gradually got used to this kind of life. He regards Lin Carpenter and his wife as his parents. Shortly after Yilin was born, she analyzed her situation in the shortest possible time. After all, for senior apostles, understanding the surrounding environment is one of the basics. He walked through the only door and came here after rolling the dice between reincarnations. Yilin was born with 5 talents. These 5 talents are: family of carpenters, versatile talents, charm of the ancients, extremely intelligent, heavenly jealous of geniuses. These 5 talents have positive and negative attributes respectively. Let's not mention the negative attributes, which are not a big problem, but the positive attributes are a bit interesting. Almost all of them add comprehension. In short, his understanding was stretched to its limit. Assuming that his trip was arranged by Xiao 11 in advance, then all these arrangements must have deep meaning. This is what Yilin thought. So he lay down. At the same time, Yilin also discovered that this was an area not under the jurisdiction of paradise. When he silently recited the apostle panel in his mind, the panel could still be opened, but all the data on it had become garbled and unreadable. Almost all of the skills that Yilin had mastered before were retained. Yulin could still use like a shadow by relying on his feeling. Therefore, whether the Apostles panel had garbled characters or coded characters, it didn't matter. Yulin could accept it. The only thing Yulin couldn't accept was that his storage space could no longer be opened. This is a bit uncomfortable. But there is one thing that is a great blessing among misfortunes. His two spiritual weapons, whether it is Laughing Mask or Redemption and Destruction, are still there. The dead skin stuck firmly to his forehead, and the two spears could be summoned when Yulin's thoughts moved. When Yuren is bored, she will take the time to summon Nai Hongxiu, Bai Xiaoi, and Gage Qinmei to chat. But perhaps because Yulin was not fully developed yet, summoning the mother spirit was extremely expensive, and it didn't take long for Yulin to be emptied. But it's just a thought after all, isn't it? With 3 mother spirits accompanying her, Yulin's days are not lonely. In 12 years, Sanling and Yulin have become so familiar that they are like family members. In the dead of night, Yulin was deducing spells. When she had nothing to do, she would ask Nai Hongxiu to come out and accompany her silently. Or let Bai Xiaoi sit aside and tell cold jokes that are not actually funny. Or let the cute little girl come out to dance and sing to relieve herself from fatigue. In this way, Yulin spent many long nights. Of course, in the past 12 years, aside from working hard to grow up, Yulin had not wasted her time. He often thinks about ways to extract the essence of the 3 systems of magic, and crystal pattern art, and integrate them. But in the past 12 years, Yulin, apart from gaining deeper attainments in the 3 disciplines, has not been able to truly integrate the 3 disciplines with different styles into one. Yulin always felt that there was something missing. There is a missing link, a link that can integrate the 3. This is a magical world. Xioxi has been here before. Yulin speculated from the story told by the storyteller that the 7 Jew empress who disappeared 5,000 years ago was most likely Xiao Zibingzi. Speaking of which, if something hadn't happened, Yulin would have said goodbye to her parents, stepped out of Qingyu village, and explored the outside world. That was when Yulin was 10 years old. He has a friend in Qingyu village. This is also his only friend Wang Xiaohu. Coincidentally, Wang Xiaohu and Yulin were born in the same year, and were a few months older than Yulin. When Wang Xiaohu was born, he was not as bizarre and full of legends as Yulin. He is just an ordinary village boy. Unlike Yulin, Wang Xiaohu grew a little faster. At the age of 10, he was 1.7 meters tall, as strong as an ox, and could do a lot of work. 10-year-old Wang Xiaohu is regarded by the whole village as the hope of the village. Many villagers privately discuss that when Wang Xiaohu grows up, he will be able to lead Qingyu village to become bigger and stronger. Whether Wang Xiaohu can make Qingyu village bigger and stronger, Yulin doesn't know. But he could tell that this man was quite silly. How to say? Speaking of which, Yulin's inherent impression of Wang Xiaohu originated from the following incident. Qingyu village is a poor place with little oil and water. If you eat this meal without finishing it, the gangsters and thieves will not look down on you. Therefore, although the villagers of Qingyu village live in poverty, they are better off being safe. But that year, it was said that a demon came from outside the village. Monster, that's a monster, it eats people. Many villagers who went out to hunt hares to satisfy their hunger died on the official road. They died horribly and were bitten to pieces. Wang Xiaohu, a passionate young man, secretly carried a sharp sickle and prepared to go out of the village to kill monsters. Yulin noticed this incident accidentally. At that time, she thought that Wang Xiaohu took the initiative to cause trouble. He might be a special person in this world, similar to the protagonist. So Yulin followed secretly. Sure enough, Wang Xiaohu hit the demon. On the official road, Wang Xiaohu, who was only 10 years old, was stopped by a thin little demon with sinister features and a mouthful of black hair. At first glance, you can tell it's not a good demon, it turns out to be a rat demon. That was also Yilin's first time to truly see the demon in this world. It turns out that Uncle Niu's story was not just a lie. There really are monsters in this world. Wang Xiahua, a fool, rushed forward with his sickle in hand. 10 seconds later, Wang Xiaohu's clothes were torn into strips and was stepped on by the rat demon. Lin Yi, also known as Yilin, was also 10 years old, hiding aside and watching. After all, they were from the same village, so Wang Xiaohu couldn't be eaten alive by the demon, so Yilin took action and spent a little effort to kill the rat demon. A little demon finally forced Yilin to use the spirit-possessing ability of the two guns to shoot the rat demon alive into a specimen. From that day on, Wang Xiaohu became Yilin's follower. No matter the wind or rain, he never talked nonsense. Wang Xiaohu is also from Qingyu village. No, to be precise, he is the only person in the world who knows Yilin's hidden strength. The two became friends. In fact, Wang Xiaohu's personality was honest and a little silly, and he was easy to get along with. Over time, Yilin accepted Wang Xiaohu's following. From time to time, Wang Xiaohu was asked to run errands and help his parents with work. He had no objection at all, and would even take the initiative to do the work. Yilin sometimes overheard Lin's father and mother Lin secretly lamenting in the room. It was a pity that the little tiger from the old Wang family next door was not a girl, otherwise he would have to marry into the Lin family and carry on the family line for Lin Yi. These remarks are very dangerous. It was this incident that made Yilin realize that the outside world was dangerous and filled with demons. Therefore, Yilin decided to stay in Qingyu village for another 2 years until her brain circuits matured. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 802. Ever since Wang Xiaohu became Yilin's little follower, all the boys in the village stopped playing with Wang Xiaohu. After all, Wang Xiaohu is a man who is happy to play with freaks. But what about girls? It was resistant at first. But Wang Xiaohu is too strong, and girls who are just starting to fall in love seem to yearn for this model. It's just that Wang Xiaohu doesn't seem to have the heart and follows Yilin all day long. What no one knew was that since that day, Wang Xiaohu had witnessed Yilin using a mysterious magic weapon to easily destroy the rat demon, and he had set his ambition deep in his heart. One day he will leave this place, leave the small Qingyu village, go out to explore the world and do something great. Yilin unintentionally broadened Wang Xiaohu's horizons. How can making Qingyu village bigger and stronger be as important as making ourselves bigger and stronger? To put it simply, Wang Xiaohu's pattern was brought up by Yilin. Let's talk about being 12 years old again. That's the scene at the beginning. Yilin is often in the village, listening to Uncle Niu telling stories. Uncle Niu can be said to be the most experienced man in the village. Even if Uncle Niu's stories are half true and half false, he still knows more stories than Yilin, a true reborn. Yilin asked what she wanted to know. In this world, there are monsters, Tao, demons, and Buddhas. A few days later, Yilin and Wang Xiaohu were fishing by the river. When they were bored, Yilin mentioned this matter to Wang Xiaohu. I know, Wang Xiaohu became excited when he heard this. Wang Xiaohu, will one day leave Qingyu Mountain and do something great. He was fired up again. What are you doing? What's your career? Upon hearing this, Yilin knew that this idiot was full of enthusiasm again, and slapped Wang Xiaohu who was casting a net into the river to wake him up. As the only friend in Qingyu village, Yilin felt that she had an obligation to get rid of Wang Xiaohu's naivete and make him a shrewd man. The world is too dangerous, and being full of passion will only make him die young. I've told you many times that the outside world is very dangerous, and nothing is more important than surviving. Once you encounter danger, be patient as long as you can, judge the situation first, attack if you can win, and run if you can't. Don't forget that you almost became food for the rat demon, and finally turned into a humble pile of rat dung. Wang Xiaohu got up from the river wet and blushed when he heard Yilin's words, but he couldn't refute it. Although Wang Xiaohu is a few months older than Yilin, in front of him, Wang Xiaohu always feels like a baby, the kind that won't grow up. Ah! My fishing net. Because of Yilin's intrusion, the ancestral fishing nets of the old Wang family next door, which had been repaired for more than 10 years, were washed away along the river. Yilin smiled slightly, stretched out her white fingers, and grasped the turbulent water in the river. Phew! Lao Wang's fishing net was caught by Yilin. There were also a dozen small fish inside. Since Yilin killed the rat demon, she rarely pretended to be cool in front of Wang Xiaohu, and Wang Xiaohu was immediately frightened by this pretense. He didn't even look at the dozens of fish in the fishing net, and quickly begged, "Brother Lin, please teach me this magical skill of yours." Yilin divided the fish smoothly, keeping 2 for herself, and stuffed the rest into Wang Xiaohu's basket. After he finished his work, he looked up at Wang Xiaohu, who looked expectant, and then sighed, "First of all, this is not some magical skill, but an ability that is born after the human brain is developed to a certain extent. Secondly, it's not I underestimate you, you are really not suitable for this path." When Wang Xiaohu heard this, he froze on the spot. Although he didn't understand rare words like brain and development, he had a little doubt, was Brother Lin trying to say that he had no brain? Probably not. Brother Lin is the best, he won't beat around the bush and curse. Here, keep 2 of these fish in your family, and send the rest to some elders in the village who have limited mobility. Remember, just say you caught the fish yourself. Yilin pointed to herself, regardless of what Wang Xiaohu thought. One of the fish in the basket said, "Remember this blue one with patterns. This fish has eggs in its belly. If you throw it into the fish pond, it will soon give birth to fish cubs." A few months ago, Yilin asked Wang Xiaohu to encourage the people in the village, and they spent half a month digging canals to divert water from the river and build a fish pond. Yilin asked her father to manage this fish pond to prevent anyone from fishing secretly. After several months of hard work, the fish pond finally began to give birth to fish cubs. Although most people in the village were still hungry, when the fish pond gave birth to cubs in full swing, they finally did not starve to death. In the past 12 years, Yilin has discovered that the world's breeding and planting industries are very backward, and food production is low. In addition, there are bandits and monsters everywhere outside, no wonder life is difficult. In fact, Yilin's efforts started earlier. Improving the level of a village's breeding and planting industry is not something that can be accomplished overnight. Yilin put all the credit on Wang Xiaohu. Wang Xiaohu's voice in the village became even louder. The villagers called Wang Xiaohu the future star of Qingnu village. Even many little girls who had just developed breasts frequently praised Wang Xiaohu. Ogle. By the way, they hated Lin Yi, the freak who followed Wang Xiaohu all day long, even more, with murderous intent in their eyes. Wang Xiaohu finally realized something was wrong. Yilin has done a lot of good things for the village recently, but she didn't leave any names behind, and put her name on Wang Xiaohu's forehead. Others don't know it, but Wang Xiaohu still doesn't know it in his heart. The villagers praised him in front of Wang Xiaohu. Wang Xiaohu always felt that the uncles and aunts were talking about Brother Lin. This made Wang Xiaohu feel like he was being taken advantage of by Yilin. Although he didn't know what green meant given the era he lived in, it felt real. Brother Lin. One night, Wang Xiaohu drank several mouthfuls of cold well water to strengthen his courage, and with a polished sickle on his back, he opened the door of Carpenter Lin's house. Yilin opened the door and took a look, and found this guy with a red face and hesitant words. He was afraid of disturbing other people, so he quickly set up a small soundproof barrier. He was angry and funny. "What the hell are you drinking? How much? Oh, that's not right, you are underage, and your family can't afford alcohol. Wang Xiaohu blushed. I drank the well water at the entrance of the village. It's really yours. Yilin gave Wang Xiaohu a thumbs up, then go to bed quickly. Wang Xiaohu stopped Yilin, who was about to enter the house, and asked, Brother Lin, are you leaving? This time it was Yilin's turn to be surprised. He didn't expect Wang Xiaohu's brain to actually see it. That night, Wang Xiaohu was in the soundproof barrier, crying and begging Yilin to take him through the world. This was not Yilin's original intention. Yilin's original idea was to let Wang Xiaohu become the village chief of Qingyu village and take good care of the village. Otherwise, wouldn't all the things he has done be in vain? When people are excited, they cannot communicate with normal words, especially a stubborn person like Wang Xiaohu. So Yilin knocked Wang Xiaohu unconscious and quietly sent him back to Wang's house next door. The two families are really next to each other, so it doesn't get in the way. After living here for 12 years, his brain development is basically able to meet Yilin's daily needs and he is able to protect himself. It would be too much to continue living in this Qingyu village. Yilin had been preparing for so long just to leave here. But Qingyu village is after all the place where Yilin has lived for 12 years. Whether it is his parents or this village, he can't let go. Even if the children in the village treat him as a freak, that's called ignorance. There is no way. Due to the limitations of the times, Yilin can't hold a grudge because of such a trivial matter, right? Besides, Yilin asked herself, her actions in the past 6 years were indeed scary, and she didn't blame them. I was woken up by that idiot Wang Xiaohu. At night, Yilin scratched his head. He was growing taller, and Yilin was adjusting her schedule recently. But now that she was woken up, Yilin had to do something to avoid letting down this wonderful lonely night. A few days ago, Yilin asked something from the storyteller. There is an old legend that even Uncle Niu himself doesn't believe. The uncle said, it is said that Qingyu Mountain was formerly called Empress Mountain. It is said to be the place where the Qija goddess once lived. Yiren was very angry at that time. Your uncle, you should have told such an important story earlier. It turned out that before Yilin was born, the villagers had explicitly forbidden him from entering Qingyu Mountain. As for the reason, it's very simple. There are rumors that Qingyu Mountain has evil spirits. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 803. Yilin is ready to set off and go to Qingyu Mountain at night, to catch the monster. In fact, Yilin had already heard about the demons in Qingyu Mountain. But upon arrival, Qingyu village was said to be at the foot of Qingyu Mountain, but it was nearly 5 miles away from that mountain. The monsters in Qingyu Mountain never appeared around Qingyu village, so Yilin ignored him. At that time he is still young, what if he can't beat him? Secondly, if the demon is staying in his own territory, why should he torment the demon if he has nothing to do? But it's different now. He is about to leave the newbie village. The demon in Qingyu Mountain is a hidden danger after all, so you might as well go and see it. Yilin returned to her room and took out an old wooden box from under the bed. In the wooden box, wooden pegs about the length of a hand and the thickness of a thumb are placed neatly in the wooden box. On each wooden nail, there are some engravings that Yilin has carved purely by hand over the years. In addition to the wooden pegs, the box also contained many small inventions that Yilin had made when she was bored over the years. He has a versatile talent. His father is also a senior carpenter. Over the years, he has mastered the skills of a senior carpenter. As for the effect of the wooden nails, hey, Yiren herself is also looking forward to it. The storage space is lost, and it is a little troublesome to wear the equipment. Of course, Yilin was already prepared and took out a strong cowhide shoulder strap from the bottom of the wooden box. There were slots reserved on the shoulder straps. Yilin carefully filled the slots with special engraved wooden nails and then carried them on her back. In addition to the engraved wooden pegs, Yilin also took out several round black ball-shaped objects from the bottom of the box and strung them on the waistband of his pants. Yilin casually used a light mirror technique to arrange her makeup in front of the mirror, and was very satisfied. If he had a Vulcan cannon on his back, he would look a lot like the Predator in the movie. After making enough preparations, Yilin sneaked into Wang's house next door and woke up Wang Xiahua with a basin of cold water. Not long after poor Wang Xiahua fainted, he was woken up again, looking confused. Didn't I just pass out? Such a thought flashed through Wang Xiahua's mind. Walk. The moonlight fell on Yilin's face through the hole in the window. Wang Xiahua stared blankly at Yilin's immature facial features, which showed a calmness and maturity that was beyond his age. He stayed for a long time. Where? Wang Xiahua scratched his head. Bring this guy with you, Brother Lin will help you get rid of the demon. Yilin didn't go into details, but just the two words eliminating demons were enough to make Wang Xiahua's blood boil. I saw him standing up like a carp, rummaging around in the kitchen, and once again holding the sickle he had sharpened not long ago in his hand. But when he was about to find something else, such as a pot lid or something, to put on his head as armor, Yilin quickly waved his hand. That's enough, hurry up, I'm going to throw you away if you don't keep up. With that said, Yilin skillfully climbed out of the window. I said teaching you to get rid of demons, but I didn't say let you get rid of demons. I mean, just dress like a person. The moonlight is quite bright today, and the air is slightly cool, refreshing, and pleasant. There is no dark moon, high wind, murderous night atmosphere at all. Yilin walked out of Qingyu village in silence. He only hoped that the monster in Qingyu mountain was not a distant relative of Emperor Wang Tian, of the wolf type. In many worldviews, wolf monsters are said to pervert themselves as soon as they see the full moon. Yilin was careful about this. The two of them tiptoed, avoiding the patrol route of the Qingyu village night watchman, and easily left the village and took the official road. In this world, no one dares to walk in the wild at night unless they have some skills. But at this moment, Yilin and Wang Xiahua, two little boys, went out to the village at night to slay demons. If other people knew about it, it would not be possible to describe it as treason, but would have to be described as seeking death. Take your seat. In fact, what Wang Xiahua didn't know was that since the rat demon was killed, although Qingyu village lived in poverty and hardship, there was no trace of the demon within 10 miles or so. It wasn't God who protected Qingyu village, but Yilin secretly took action to deal with many little monsters. The female fox demons, rat demons, weasel demons, and pig demons all stayed away from this place after being defeated and persuaded by Yilin. Yilin quietly did many good things and did not leave any credit or fame behind. In addition to catching monsters, Yilin also secretly eliminated many bandits near Qingyu village. A few years ago, there was a den of thieves called King Fengjai in Sanlilai outside Qingyu village. The bandits inside called themselves Bailei and said they were determined to be the bandit king. One day, Yilin accidentally had a barbecue in the mountains. I found the thieves' traces and solved them easily. I also deliberately left traces of the demon's attack and put the blame on the demon. Let's talk about the demon-catching duo. One has thick arms and the other is a follower. The area near Qingyu village has been almost cleaned up by Yilin, and Yilin can walk along the official road smoothly. Wang Xiahua was still nervous at first, but who was he? He was a passionate young man who dared to fight the rat demon alone when he was 10 years old. At first, Wang Xiahua took the initiative to walk in front of Yilin, saying that he wanted to open the way for Yilin. Yilin just laughed secretly and didn't stop her. But as he walked, Wang Xiahua realized that something was wrong. He is older in age, taller in height, and stronger in physique. But why was it that after walking 5 miles in one breath, with ups and downs, Brother Lin didn't blush or pant, and walked faster and faster, but his legs began to feel weak? This unscientific. Wang Xiahua was shocked. At the age of 11, Wang Xiaohu learned the word science from Yilin, and now he uses it without any violation. Tisk, you're too young. Yilin replied calmly and looked down upon Wang Xiaohu's age. To be honest, Yilin was not older than Wang Xiaohu according to her actual age, but according to her real age, Yilin was more than enough to be Wang Xiaohu's father. Yilin said this too young out of emotion, not just to show off. 2 hours later. Late at night. The moonlight is hazy. Qingyu Mountain is right in front of you. This mountain has not been visited for more than 10 years. The winding path that was originally used to go up the mountain has long been overgrown with weeds. There are even many thorny thorns that have emerged from the bushes and blocked the road. At night, the entire mountain is filled with thick fog, like a devil's cave, which makes people feel chilly. Wang Xiaohu stood in front of the entrance to the mountain and swallowed hard. A gudong sound resounded throughout the night, and even he could hear it clearly. This time, he suddenly blushed and didn't know how to explain it. Yilin didn't pay attention to Wang Xiaohu's subtle psychological changes at all. He brought Wang Xiaohu to catch the monster, which naturally had his reasons. But when she got here, Yilin didn't dare to be careless and closed her eyes to feel it carefully. After a while, Yilin opened her eyes and stared slightly. Sure enough, there is a demonic aura. The composition of the air in this world seems to be slightly different from the real world. If I have to say it, it is somewhat similar to the Age of Gods where magic power was strong. Based on the story told by Uncle Niu, Yilin believed that the rich smell in the air should be the so-called spiritual energy. The demon aura Yilin mentioned was also one of these auras. And this kind of demon energy makes people feel even more uncomfortable. The skin is sticky, as if it has been soaked in cold oil, giving Yilin the illusion that her balls are being pulled, making it difficult to move. Well, no wonder this monster is entrenched here. In addition to the strong smell of monsters, the spiritual energy here is not bad. It seems that Uncle Niu was right. This is probably the place where Xiao 11 lived back then. Yilin was talking to herself in a dialect that Wang Xiaohu couldn't understand. Finally, Yilin looked at Wang Xiaohu and finally said something that Wang Xiaohu could understand. Here, Xiaohu, it's your time to come on stage, clear the way. Me? Wang Xiaohu stared and pointed at his nose. Didn't you bring a sickle? Yilin smiled, casually pulled out a ball from his waistband, and stuffed it into the hands of the astonished Wang Xiaohu. At the same time, he taught him how to use it. This one is called a phantom grenade. Well, don't worry about it, it's just a handicraft. When you are in danger, just pull off this ring and throw it out. When Yilin designed the shape of the phantom grenade, he directly copied the design concept of the classic grenade. After many years, Yilin secretly sighed when she saw something that looked like a grenade again. That's it, Wang Xiaohu looked at the ball in his hand curiously. It seemed to be made of thinly sliced wood chips. Wang Xiaohu shook it vigorously a few times and felt that the ball, which Brother Lin called a phantom grenade, was empty and contained nothing at all. He suddenly felt very puzzled. But out of the trust that Yilin had gradually cultivated over the years, Wang Xiaohu didn't ask any questions. He boldly picked up the sickle and walked in front, cutting the grass cleanly to clear the way. Wang Xiaohu is in the front and Yilin is in the back. Someone opened the way, which saved Yilin a lot of physical work. He walked as easily as if he were strolling through a leisurely courtyard. But Wang Xiaohu was exhausted. No matter how strong he was still just a 12-year-old child. When the two of them walked halfway up the mountain, Wang Xiaohu was sweating profusely and breathing heavily. Right now. Ah! Chirp chirp chirp. A flock of birds sleeping in the forest seemed to have been frightened. They flew out from the depths of the forest one after another. A large cloud shaped like a dark cloud hung over the two of them. Accompanied by the frightened birds passing through the forest, a tiger roared like a thunder, exploding in the night. It's a tiger demon. The moment he heard the roar of the tiger, Wang Xiaohua's face suddenly turned pale. It's a tiger demon. Yilin, on the other hand, instantly breathed a sigh of relief. It's okay if you're not a wolf, it's okay if you're not a wolf. That's okay. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 804. Tigers are large cats that like to live alone and have a strong sense of territory. Only during the breeding season will male and female tigers move together, at most two. Yilin quickly combined the common sense of biology to determine the tiger demon's behavior pattern. Although Yilin had not killed many monsters over the years, she had learned a lesson. Even if they become monsters, they can't destroy their animal instincts. This is often the case. If she wanted to switch to a wolf demon, Yilin should think carefully about it. Because what he was about to face was not a wolf monster, but a group of wolf monsters. After Yilin figured it out, she felt determined and whistled in a melodious tone in response to the roar of the tiger. This whistle sounded far away, quite provocative. Now Wang Xiaohua's legs were shaking even more. Listening to the whistle, he felt an inexplicable urge to urinate. Although his name has the word tiger in it, it was given by his parents, which does not mean that he can really fight tigers. But soon, Wang Xiaohua took 2 deep breaths, raised his fist, and hit the back of his head twice, until he felt dizzy. Wang Xiaohua calmed down a lot now. As the ancients say, if you don't enter the tiger's den, you won't catch the tiger's cubs. With the word tiger in your name, you are born to defeat the tiger monster. Besides, with me here, are you afraid of a hammer? Yilin said with relief. When Wang Xiaohua heard this, he secretly felt that it made sense, so he nodded, and within 10 seconds, he became more confident again, with ambition igniting in his eyes. Yo-ho! The quality is good. Yilin watched Wang Xiaohua's reaction with cold eyes. She was surprised to find that her good friend quickly became defensive again after a brief period of fear. Wang Xiaohua continued to bravely lead the way. He also did not make a request to withdraw. If Wang Xiaohua really decided to retreat to the village at this moment, Yilin would naturally not stop him. But Wang Xiaohua seems to be naive, but in fact he is not stupid. He knows that his friend Lin Ji has deep hidden strength, so he braves the thorns and makes his way up the mountain. The tiger demon that roared was indeed angry because the two had intruded into its territory. As the two of them went deep into Qingyu Mountain, the roars of tigers came from the mountains, one after another, like waves, endless and endless. The roar of the tiger was getting closer and closer, as if it was right next to my ears, and yet it seemed so far away that I couldn't distinguish it clearly. At this time, Wang Xiaohua felt a bit like breaking the pot. He kept his head silent and concentrated on chopping grass with a sickle to clear the way. But suddenly, Yilin grabbed Wang Xiaohua's clothes, who was immersed in chopping grass, and forced Wang Xiaohua to stop. Careful! Yilin pointed deep into the forest. Wang Xiaohua looked along Yilin's fingertips, and suddenly his whole scalp felt numb. About 20 steps away, between 2 trees, there were 2 large green lanterns. Their dim light shone on their faces, making their faces glowing green. Look closer, where are the green lanterns in this deep mountain forest? Ouch, those big eyes are clearly those of a tiger demon. Go. Use tactic B. As soon as Yilin saw the real owner, she didn't waste any words, skillfully gave the signal, and pushed Wang Xiaohua's 70 kilograms of meat into the tiger's mouth with one palm. What kind of tactics are you forcing? At this moment, Wang Xiaohua could not think about what the dialect that came out of Yilin's mouth meant. But Wang Xiaohua thought about it for half a second and couldn't figure out what it meant. However, Wang Xiaohua understood Yilin's push from behind. Okay, brother Lin. Wang Xiaohua, understand. So Wang Xiaohua looked as determined as a strong man who cut off his wrist, and while shouting "Father, Mother, your kindness and love," Xiahua will repay you in the next life." He swung the sickle that cut the grass along the way and cut out many broken teeth. He killed the 2 green lanterns without any return. Yilin thought at first that Wang Xiahua really understood the essence of the bait tactic, but when she saw Wang Xiahua's face and posture, "You know a hammer, do you understand?" Deep in the forest, the tiger demon hidden in the demonic mist opened its mouth, and a smelly smell replaced the breeze in the forest, roaring towards Wang Xiahua. Wherever the breath passed, the shrubs beside the trail bent over one after another, making a crackling sound of stems and leaves. Finally, Wang Xiahua breathed out. Wang Xiahua only felt that the breath was a bit loud, and the strong wind howled, and he couldn't even open his eyes, so he had to charge forward with passion. There is nothing that passion and drive cannot solve. Wang Xiahua thought to himself. So he rushed faster. But Yilin, who was behind Wang Xiahua, saw the true appearance of the tiger demon at a glance. In the mist in the mountains, a tiger nearly 10 meters long with snow-white fur was staring at the 2 people who broke into the tiger monster's forbidden area. The snow-white hair reflected the cold waves in the moonlight, which was very attractive, and Yilin couldn't help but have the urge to peel it off and make it into a tiger skin coat. Wang Xiahua rushed forward, bumping and stumbling along the way, but he still rushed out. The tiger demon seemed to be frightened by Wang Xiahua's naivete, and he hesitated for a moment in raising his claws. But in the end, the tiger demon chose to take action. He suddenly raised his front paw and shook out a claw from about 30 meters away. Hiss! Yilin knew something was wrong as soon as he saw this action. Along with a gust of wind, sparks flew out from the friction between the tiger's claws and the air. A wave of air invisible to the naked eye tore towards Wang Xiahua. Crash! Wherever the air waves passed, trees fell down like wheat, and their trunks were broken. Yilin had no expression on her face, and pressed down Wang Xiahua's head with her palm. When Wang Xiahua stood up tremblingly again, he was horrified to find that there was no tree taller than him in front of, beside, or behind him. All the trees within a radius of 10 meters were all destroyed by the tiger demon. The claw is cut off, and the fracture is as smooth as a mirror. This terrifying scene made Wang Xiahua puff up his chest, take a breath of cold air, and stay there for a long time without making any other movement. "Don't be stupid, come on." After the meeting, Yilin had a preliminary understanding of the tiger demon's strength. She felt more confident and calmly urged Wang Xiahua to continue to eliminate the demon. Yilin's idea was good, but what he didn't expect was that as soon as Yilin finished speaking, the tiger demon let out another deafening tiger roar, then raised his paw, setting off a frightening gust of wind, bypassing Wang Xiahua, and hid. Yilin, who was in the dark, rushed over. Yilin was stunned for a moment. Wang Xiahua's big piece of meat was not as good as her own small arms and thin legs. But then Yilin remembered one of her talents, extreme intelligence, which came with the innocuous negative attribute of charm -300, and she was speechless. When the tiger demon rushed towards him, Yilin's body floated up and he retreated continuously. When the tiger demon saw Yilin floating up, his expression became even more angry, his tiger eyes widened, and he made a harsh grinding sound from his mouth. It was so huge that it covered 10 meters with one swoop, and another 10 meters with another swoop. Wherever it passed, it trampled the roots of countless flowers, plants, trees, and the mountain was in a mess. But when the tiger demon pounced for the 3rd time, there was a pop sound under the tiger's claws, as if something was stepped on under its claws. Then the big thing happened, a dazzling light suddenly bloomed from under the tiger demon's butt, and vines stabbed out of the soil, rolling like a spiritual snake, and in a blink of an eye, the tiger demon was tied up and down. The tiger demon stared, and then he noticed that the soil around him was filled with strange wooden nails from unknown time. The weird wooden vines extend from the tops of those wooden nails. Freedom of law bound to prison. The tiger demon was about to use all his strength to break free of the wooden vines wrapped around his body, but he didn't expect that the binding method of these wooden vines was a bit special. The harder he exerted force, the tighter the wooden vines were wrapped around him, and they were all stuck in his flesh. The tiger demon grinned in pain. At this time, the interesting voice of a young man came to its ears. "Don't waste your energy. Once this prison binding is caught, it will get tighter and tighter." As the boy spoke, he took a few steps closer to the tiger demon. Then he shook his hands, and red lightning popped out from the boy's wrist. The lightning was rounded and flattened by the boy like dough, and in an instant it became two long sticks. Long red whip. After Yi Lin controlled the tiger demon, she was naturally rude. He skillfully took out a small leather whip, a small electric whip, and whipped it on the tiger demon. Wang Xiahua, who followed the messy traces of the tiger demon's rampage and chased him all the way down the mountain, was dumbfounded when he got here. He watched helplessly as the ferocious and domineering tiger demon just now was now completely tied up with a strange rope, lying on the ground with his hands holding the tiger's head. And in his memory, Brother Lin Yi was smiling, wielding two strange weapons, and hitting the big white tiger hard. At first, the murderous tiger demon could still make a terrifying tiger roar, but as it whirred, the tiger roar became weaker and weaker, and finally, when Wang Xiaohu heard it, it inexplicably turned into a whimper-like cry. Wang Xiaohu scratched his head strangely. Why did he feel a little pitiful for this big tiger monster in this situation? Pa 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 pa. I don't know how long I smoked. The tiger demon, about 10 meters long, was lying on its stomach, and its size gradually began to shrink. Shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. When it shrunk to the end, it became the same size as a human being. The snow-white fur gradually turned into a white gauze garment when the tiger demon's body shape changed. As he whipped, Yi Lin involuntarily stopped the whip. When the tiger demon's transformation was completed, it raised its head pitifully, with tears in its eyes. Wang Xiahua was stunned. Yi Lin called him a good guy. The majestic tiger demon suddenly transformed into a beautiful woman wearing a white silk dress. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xueshi. Chapter 805. The woman has fair skin and black hair in a bun. When she raised her head, she was about to cry, and there was a heart-wrenching shyness and poignancy between her brows. Her fur turned into a long white dress with white fluff pinned to the vertical collar, adding a bit of strange beauty. Wang Xiaohu had just come from the mountain colonel. He had never seen such a battle before, and he was stunned for a moment. Yi Lin was obviously stunned for several seconds when he cracked the whip. He just calls good guy. But what surprised him was that he was a little different from Wang Xiaohu. He never expected that the tiger demon entrenched in Qingnu Mountain was actually a real tigress. Moreover, his IQ is not low. When she was tightly bound by the freedom law, prison binding, she actually knew how to shrink her body and break free. Have some ideas. But Yi Lin smiled and snapped her fingers. The vines squirmed and tied tighter around the tigress. The intertwined wooden vines are as tough as iron, forming uneven shapes on the body of the tiger demon, no, the tiger woman, and the mountains are stacked up. If the tiger was still the same tiger, Yi Lin controlled it first and then whipped it to death with a small electric whip. Wang Xiaohu just felt pity for the tiger demon. But when the tiger demon transformed into a beautiful woman, the scene became a bit intriguing. Wang Xiaohu has not experienced the training of the world of mortals and has not experienced the wind and frost. He didn't understand so many twists and turns, but subconsciously, he always felt that something was not right about the scene in front of him. Yi Lin raised the crimson chain high and prepared to whip it a few more times. When the tiger demon saw it, he cried even more miserably. He knelt on the ground and gasped softly, "Senior, have mercy on me. Tigress subconsciously regarded Yilin as an old-timer who came out of Suanman and pretended to be young. After all, this technique is too sophisticated. Brother Lin, isn't this bad? Wang Xiaohu couldn't stand it anymore and whispered to stop him. Yilin paused, looked at Wang Xiaohu calmly, and asked, "Don't you want to go out of the village with me to slay demons?" "Yes." Wang Xiaohu hesitated for a while and nodded. "The demon is right in front of you, why do you hesitate?" Yilin asked again. This is a question that slams the soul. Wang Xiaohu's lips moved, but he didn't know how to answer. Seeing that Wang Xiaohu couldn't answer, Yilin didn't blame him. She just sighed softly, "Today, I will teach you 3 lessons. The first lesson is, no matter whether you are a human or a monster, you can't tell the difference." Wang Xiaohu silently looked at the tiger demon, then at Yilin, then at the tiger demon, then at Yilin, thinking that this was indeed the case. The tiger demon looked ferocious, but now he was miserable. Brother Lin seems to be weak, but he is more ferocious than the tiger demon. This lesson was really good. Yilin added, "Second lesson, the more beautiful a woman is, the better she knows how to lie. Look at her claws." Wang Xiaohu looked down. Sure enough, while Wang Xiaohu and Yilin were chatting, the tiger demon was secretly protruding sharp claws from its 5 fingers, and while the two were not paying attention, it was rubbing the wooden vine behind its buttocks. Seeing that the wooden vine was about to be worn away, Yilin said clearly, leaving the tiger demon stunned there, not daring to move again, "Senior, spare your life." When the tiger demon saw how Yilin dared to do anything with his magical powers, he became completely honest and resigned to his fate. As for the third one, Yilin said slowly, focusing on the tiger demon again, and mumbled something, "Humans and demons cannot be distinguished by appearance." "What?" Wang Xiaohu scratched his head, hadn't this been said before? "Say it again, what does it mean?" But Yilin ignored him and began to interrogate the tiger demon, who had calmed down. "From now on, I ask and you answer. If there is any untruth, I will be punished with a big whip." "I don't dare, please ask me, Senior." The tiger demon was obviously frightened. When he heard the words big whip, he subconsciously shrank his neck and felt a little thump in his heart. The entire demon body was stretched straight and allowed to be bound by the wooden vines, not daring to move. "Name." Yilin started to go through the process. "Bai Chu Chu." "Gender." "Mother." "Real." "Don't dare to lie." "Age." "It has been more than 100 years since I took my incarnation." Upon hearing the words more than 100 years, Wang Xiaohu, who was silent on the sidelines, suddenly widened his eyes. He began to count with his fingers how many years 100 years would be. Half an hour later, "Yuren is done." He roughly asked about the life and story of the tiger demon Bai Chu Chu. 100 years ago, Dakian was at its peak, and the world was not so chaotic. Of course, there are demons, but at that time many Taoist people often came out to do chivalry and justice, and demons did not dare to run rampant. Bai Chu Chu was just a little white tiger back then. She is ignorant and has not yet developed her intelligence. She has lived in the mountains and forests for a long time and lived a carefree life dominating the mountains and forests. But one day, a monk broke in. The monk's name was Zen Master Jinyi. She was greedy for the smell of meat on the monk's body and pounced on him. Unexpectedly, Zen Master Jinyi was a cultivator and beat Bai Chu Chu to the ground in a few strokes. But at that time, Zen Master Jinyi did not take Bai Chu Chu's life because of this. Instead, he sighed and said to the confused Bai Chu Chu, "You are destined to have a twists and turns in life. I don't know whether it will be a blessing or a curse if you succeed in cultivation in the future. Anyway, whether it is a blessing or a curse, the poor monk is here today, maybe he is destined to enlighten you." After Zen Master Jinye said these words that Bai Chu Chu still couldn't figure out, he picked up the golden Zen staff and knocked Bai Chuchu unconscious. After Bai Chuchu woke up, she found that she was no longer confused, her short-sightedness had improved, her claws were sharper, and she was no longer panting when climbing, as if she had been cheated. After Zen Master Jinyi left, he carved a line of words on a stone nearby. Bai Chuchu was illiterate at the time. In order to know what Zen Master Jinyi left behind, she finally transformed into a human form and quietly walked around the world as a human. She learned human writing and finally understood Zen Master Jinyi's message. It turned out to be a sentence: when a demon has a human heart, it will no longer be a demon. I hope you will take care of yourself. Since then, Bai Chuchu decided not to kill humans indiscriminately, but to become a good tiger. But the world's prejudice against demons is not formed in a day or two. Bai Chuchu hid in the world and kept changing her identity. After decades, she finally got tired of this kind of life and accidentally came to Qingyu Mountain and decided to stay here in seclusion. To this day, Bai Chuchu, who has practiced for hundreds of years, is tied into a rice dumpling by Yilin and beaten to death with a whip. The grievance she felt in her heart was more than just a little bit. The tears I cried just now came from the bottom of my heart. It's too awful. Wang Xiaohu has been listening by the side. To him, monsters are a new species. The only demon he had ever come into contact with was the rat demon who fought hard with Yilin back then. He never expected that humans and demons could actually sit together and communicate peacefully. After listening to the story of the tiger demon Bai Chuchu, Wang Xiaohu glanced at Yilin strangely and felt that Bai Chuchu was even more pitiful. Etc. No, Wang Xiaohu suddenly remembered the second lesson Yilin taught him: the more beautiful a woman is, the more likely she is to lie. Although the tiger demon is not a human being, by analogy, the more beautiful the female demon is, the better she is at deceiving people. Is there nothing wrong with this? So Wang Xiaohu wondered, Brother Lin, do you believe her? Yilin snapped her fingers, and the crimson chains on her hands turned into specks of red dust and disappeared. When Bai Chuchu saw that the whip was gone, her chest swelled, her body shook, and she breathed a sigh of relief. I don't believe her, but I believe in myself. Yilin snapped her fingers again, the wooden vine shrank rapidly, and all the wooden nails flew back to Yilin's hands. When Bai Chuchu saw that Yilin knew how to photograph objects from a distance, he was even more convinced that Yilin came from Suanmen. He didn't know which elite disciple he was, but he came to experience life in such a mountain col. Wang Xiaohu didn't understand. Yilin raised two fingers and explained, first, tigers are good at stalking and hunting. Before we entered the mountain, she roared at the top of her lungs. If she was really hunting, the prey would have been scared away. She was actually warning us, to be precise, he wants to scare us away. Second, when we first met each other before, if she really wants to tear you apart, she should aim at your position. As she said that, Yilin stretched out her palm, he put his 5 fingers together and made a scratch on Wang Xiaohu's waist. Wang Xiaohu suddenly realized that after Yilin's reminder, he thought of the places where the tree stumps were cut, which were all a little higher than his height. Even if he hadn't fallen down at that time, he wouldn't have ended up with his head missing. I see. Wang Xiaohu admired Yilin even more. Unexpectedly, in such a short period of time, Yilin had already seen through everything. This is not the wisdom that a 12-year-old child can possess. Brother Lin is awesome. Wang Xiaohu said, a dialect he learned from Yilin. Nonsense. Yilin put away the wooden pegs, rolled his eyes, and silently acknowledged his awesome evaluation. Then he looked at the tiger demon Bai Chuchu, who had regained his freedom with tears in his eyes again, and asked him another purpose of coming here. Bai Chuchu, there are rumors that Qingyu Mountain was once the residence of the Kiju Empress 5,000 years ago. You have stayed here for 10 years. Have you discovered anything special? When Yilin asked this question, Bai Chuchu stared at Yilin with an incredible look, as if looking at a freak, Senior, you don't know this place. Yilin didn't answer. The tiger demon Bai Chu paused, and there was a bit of resentment in his eyes. Then why are you here, Senior? What she actually wants to ask is, since you don't know the specialness of this place, Senior, do you dare to come here specifically to whip me tonight? Infinity Throne. Author, Bai Xueshi. Chapter 806. Oh, you don't need to know that. Yilin pretended to be profound. Although Bai Chu had doubts in her heart, she was convinced. Even though she had doubts in her heart, she did not dare to say anything and obediently led the two of them to the top of Qingyu Mountain. What surprised Yilin was, there is actually a small village on the top of Qingyu Mountain. To be precise, it should be a former village. The top of Qingyu Mountain. There are dilapidated thatched cottages. Wang Xiaohu didn't think much about it, but he was still startled by the scenery in front of him, and subconsciously said, "Ah, there is actually a village here." Yilin looked carefully at the dilapidated thatched huts. After a moment of silence, he looked at Bai Chu and asked, "Why?" Note, Yilin asked, not where is this place. It's not who lives here either. But, why? In a very short period of time, he was different from Wang Xiaohu who only saw the surface. Yilin noticed something strange, so she asked why. Bai Chu seemed to be convinced by Yilin. She didn't dare to move or say anything. When Yilin asked about this, Bai Chu bowed Yingying and asked, "Senior knows about the Qiju Empress, but do you know, the wordless monument?" Oh. Yilin hummed a high-pitched question in her nasal cavity. Ahem. Bai Chu suddenly understood. It turns out that the senior is an elite disciple who lives deep in Suanmen. He has never gone out to practice, so he knows nothing about the secrets of the world. Bai Chu secretly wondered which Taoism school could have cultivated such a powerful yet ignorant character, and was afraid that Yilin would be angry, so he quickly answered. Senior is omniscient and omniscient, so of course he knows it. Please forgive me for showing my shame. Bai Chu first flattered Yilin tactfully, and then honestly told what he knew. It is said that 5,000 years ago, before the Qiju Empress stepped through the void and ascended to the upper realm, she left behind 10 wordless tablets. Yilin noticed Bai Chu's subtle thoughts, so she nodded with a straight face, pointed at the confused Wang Xiaohu beside her and said, "Of course I know, but my junior brother knows nothing about this, can you elaborate?" Bai Chu suddenly realized that the senior who could beat, tie and whip was taking care of his junior brother. So Bai Chu no longer had any doubts, staring at Bai Xiaohu's confused face, and told everything she knew in detail. 5,000 years ago, the Qiju Empress left various legends. But the most familiar one is this wordless monument. There is not a single word or article on the wordless monument. Over the past 5,000 years, countless monks have flocked to it, thinking that the Qiju Empress left the secret of being invincible in the world on the wordless monument. But over the years, so many ways leaders among demons, and Buddhas meditated in front of 10 wordless heavenly monuments, and even got into fights, but they all gained nothing, and finally the matter was settled. Bai Chu said, pointing into the distance. Sure enough, outside the village, there was a small stone monument on the edge of the mountain cliff, lonely and unnoticed. Yilin and Wang Xiaohu were both silent. Bai Chu sighed, for many years, countless people have fought for the possession of the wordless heavenly monument, causing disputes and killings. Until 100 years ago, an ancestor of the Tianjian sect finally discovered the wordless monument here for 10 years. When the sky monument was originally a joke, it finally settled all kinds of disputes. Joke. Yilin raised her brows, looked at the moss-mottled stone tablet in the distance, and asked softly. Yes, Bai Chu nodded. The ancestor of Tianjian sect made it clear that there was no message left on the stone tablet at all. He even released the place where the unmarked sky tablet is located in Tianjian sect to allow all the ginseng in Suanmen Mo. Everyone finally believed this and let it go. Yulin was very surprised, so she asked, as a demon clan, how do you know these secrets? Bai Chuchu was puzzled by Yulin's questions, but he didn't dare to ask any more questions. He just smiled and said, Senior is young and doesn't know anything. These are not secrets at all. Everyone in Suanmen knows it. As he said this, Bai Chuchu glanced at Yulin strangely, as if he was wondering, given Yulin's status, she didn't know about this. Yulin patted Wang Xiaohu on the shoulder gently, do you understand? Understand. Wang Xiaohu still looked innocent. He is a rural boy, so it is strange to know this. The elders have mentioned it to me before, but I never cared about it. Yulin shook his head and sighed. Unintentionally, Bai Chuchu's doubts were solved. Through this period of contact, Bai Chuchu gradually figured out Yulin's true identity. It turns out, Yulin is an elite disciple of a certain Suanman. He has lived in the sect for many years, and now he has come out to experience how to slay demons. Although his experience is not deep, he is extremely talented and powerful. Thinking of this, Bai Chuchu lowered his head and did not dare to ask any more questions. Yulin thought as he brought Wang Xiaohu to the strip, he really did the right thing. He walked towards the stone monument on the cliff. In fact, Yulin had long noticed that the dates of these thatched cottages were uneven. Some thatched cottages are only the size of a latrine, and half of them have collapsed due to weathering. Some thatched cottages have 2 rooms and 1 living room, and the load-bearing pillars have long been corroded and covered with wormholes. It seems that the person who built this thatched cottage was once a wonderful man who knew how to enjoy himself. In some thatched cottages, only the grass is left, and even the houses above are gone, and it is unknown how many centuries ago they were architectural works. Obviously, in the past few thousand years, many people have been here and paid homage to the so-called wordless monument left by the Kiju Empress. In the end, they found nothing and left in despair. The soil beside the stone tablet is also quite distinctive. A large crater was sunk around the stele, and there were even traces of digging with sharp tools on it, but these traces were later filled in by new traces, making the crater look like a small meteorite crater. Later, no one dug it, so wild flowers and weeds grew in the pit and around the stone monument. As spring passed and winter came, flowers faded and bloomed, rain fell and snow buried them, all traces showed the ruthlessness of time. Yulin took a cursory look and saw many problems. Some people even wanted to dig out this wordless monument and take it away, but unfortunately they failed in the end. Why can't it be dug away? If Bai Chuchu hadn't been watching from the side, Yulin would have had to dig around no matter how hard she looked. Then the problem came again. Can it be destroyed? Yulin didn't believe that no one had tried it. After all, he immediately thought of what would happen if he exploded. In her wild thoughts, Yulin came to the wordless monument. The wordless monument, as the name suggests, has no words on it. The surface of the modeled stone tablet is empty, like an uncarved stone slab. Is this what 11 left behind? Yulin had already matched up the Kiju Empress and Xiao 11 and had various contacts. Yulin naturally thought that Xiao 11 deliberately left a message for him, 5,000 years ago. After circling the stone tablet a few times, Yulin didn't find anything special about the wordless stone tablet. After all, there really weren't any symbols or words on it. After thinking for a moment, Yulin returned to the front of the wordless monument, turned her back to Bai Chuchu and Wang Xiaohu, and pressed it with her palm. In an instant, when Yulin's palm came into contact with the stone tablet, there was no special light effect or strange reaction. In the eyes of Wang Xiaohu and Bai Chuchu who were watching, Yulin just turned around a few times in a weird way, and then did the same thing as countless stone tablet seekers over the past 5,000 years, touched it. Yulin didn't have time to feel the cold touch from the stone tablet. Between his pupils, circles of light composed of tiny numbers flashed away. Almost at the same time, a long-lost font appeared in Yulin's field of vision. 12 years. A whole 12 years. The wording is finally out. Now it's right? Yilin was very emotional. Decoding in progress. Working hard to decode. We are working very hard to decode. Drop. Decoding successful. You finally found this place. This is message number 1. I know you still have doubts in your heart, you are doubting the meaning of your coming to this world. But trust me, you will understand eventually. Human life is extremely short, and when it is not enough to cause waves, it will be dead. Too weak. Human, too weak. We are too weak. You are too weak. So, you came here. Except for the long time, I have left 10 messages and 7 keys for you here. Then, from now on, I will personally release your main quest for you. Your main task is, find them and achieve yourself.